Hi guys and welcome to my Champions League match preview. Yes, you heard me right. The Champions League is back and Arsenal are kicking things off this Tuesday night, 5:45 p.m. kickoff. Make sure you got that in your calendar, and we are playing away at Atletico Club / Atletico Bilbao, whichever one you want to name it, at the Estadio de San Mamés stadium. A beautiful stadium, never been there, but I'm hoping to go there, hopefully one of these times. But yes, Arsenal kick things off. But before we get into the preview, do me a favor, make sure you hit that like and share button, and don't forget to hit the subscribe. Listen, Atletico Bilbao, you can argue and say, yes, Arsenal are the favourites for this game, but let's preview this game properly. Let's analyse it and why we would think that Arsenal are the favourites for this actual game. Looking into it, we did play Atletico Bilbao during the preseason at the Emirates Cup. A lot of people are probably going to use that as a foundation, but I'm not going to do that because we have to go back a little bit and look at the league form. The season has started now in La Liga and also in the Premier League. And looking at the record for both clubs, Arsenal have played 4 games so far this season. We have won 3 and we've lost 1, sitting 9 points, and we are currently sitting second in our table. Atletico Bilbao, they've also played 4, won 3 and also lost 1. The difference is their loss came just after the international break, which means they'll be going into this Champions League game with a loss behind their back. So what are we expecting? Unfortunately, I've just been checking it. Atletico Madrid do have a lot of injuries when it comes to, obviously, their squad. Their talisman, Nico Williams, is reported that he's currently out with a muscle injury. So the likelihood is, or his most likelihood is, he's not going to be featuring in this game whatsoever. And they've got some important players missing. As I said, they just lost their last game at home, by the way, as well. They lost it 1-0 and they're currently sitting, I think Atletico Bilbao are currently sitting 4th in their league, as you guys can see here in the screen. Yes, they are currently, obviously, Real Madrid is first, Barcelona, as of the time of recording this video, this is a live table, and Getafe is third at the moment on goal difference, and Atletico Club obviously are 4th. So as I said, and also this is Atletico's Bilbao's first time back in the Champions League since the 2014/2015 season. So it's fair to say that Arsenal has more experience in the Champions League more recently than Atletico Bilbao does. Obviously, Arsenal, this is their 3rd consecutive season back in the Champions League after some time off. Obviously, the first time we were back in the Champions League, we qualified all the way up until the quarterfinals, where we obviously bowed out to Bayern Munich. Last season, the new phase of the Champions League in terms of the group stages, we managed to obviously do well in the group stages. We managed to avoid the extra playoffs. We managed to get automatic qualification into the last 16, where we ultimately made our way into the semi-finals, and ultimately we lost to PSG, who then went on to win the game, the competition themselves. So we ended up, so you can argue and say quarterfinals, semi-finals, and hopefully this season Arsenal can go one step further and actually make the final. So when you look at it in terms of this game, Arsenal are probably favourites to actually win this game, considering the amount of, obviously, transfers and the new players that Arsenal have gotten, and also the amount of injuries that Atletico Bilbao currently have in their squad. As I said, the talisman Nico Williams is probably not going to be there. Not saying that all the other players are not going to perform in his absence. That's not exactly what I'm saying. But let's be honest about it. The manager, after the loss on the weekend, he basically came out and said the European Championships or the European competition is not their main focus this season. I think they're probably trying to focus on their league status and possibly challenge for the league title in La Liga. And I don't think they got much. It would be stupid, in my opinion, not to focus, put some attention into the Champions League, if you ask me. But let's look at Arsenal's squad going into this game. Obviously, we still got a couple of injuries ourselves. Saliba, currently as we speak, obviously he trained the other day, but he wasn't fit enough to feature against Nottingham Forest on the weekend, which we won 3-0. We did see some pictures of him. He was actually at the stadium. Same thing with Bukayo Saka. We don't know what the updates is with Bukayo Saka. I have personally seen pictures of Bukayo Saka training, but Arteta last week said he's not ready to be featured or to come back. Good news is we've got Ben White, who has also come back into the squad. Norgard hasn't played a single minute yet this season for Arsenal. Will he get some minutes in the Champions League? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Jesus is still out. We've still got Kai Havertz is still out as well. So we've got a couple of players out as well, but let's be honest, we've got a lot of players that can fit and do well in their replacement. For example, as you guys saw on the weekend, Noni Madueke covering. Couldn't we say he was covering for Saka? Let's be honest about it. He's not his backup. He's there to challenge Bukayo Saka. And there's been a lot of questions especially after the weekend, and people questioning and saying, does Saka have to now fight for his place, considering that Noni Madueke, he's playing really well at the moment? And my answer to that is no, because ultimately we've got two great players now that can play on that right wing position, and rotation is key, especially in this season, especially with all the injuries we've had like this early in this season already. So I'm not going to be saying that one is better than the other. They're just as good as each other. They're both England internationals playing in the same position. And listen, it is problem for the opposition, not a problem for Arsenal. So we need to stop with this comparison and saying, has Saka lost his place to Madueke? The answer is categorically no. They're just as good as each other. Also, we've got Gyökeres. Obviously, he played, I think, about 65 to 70 minutes on Saturday. In Campe is there as well. Mosquera is playing really well in replacement of Saliba. You wouldn't have even noticed that Saliba wasn't playing. So when you look at the comparison in regards to the strength of the squad going into this game, it's fair to say that Arsenal potentially are the favourites, even though we are playing away. So let me get straight into my predicted starting lineup for this game. So David Raya goes in goal without shadow of a doubt. Then you're going to have Yuri and Timber, Mosquera if Saliba is not fit enough to start this game. Personally, I wouldn't be rushing him back, considering that we've got Manchester City on the weekend. So let's see how that one goes. But if it was me, I'll be starting Mosquera in this game with Gabriel Magalhaes and also Calafiori on that left back position. Into the midfield, I will be going with Zubimendi. I will be bringing back Declan Rice into the starting lineup. I think this is the kind of game that we needed Declan Rice to manage in that midfield. So Marino will have to come out. And also there are still question marks in regards to Odegaard. Is he going to be fit enough for this game? If he is not fit enough for this game, I personally will be going with Eberechi Eze in that number 10 position in replacement of Martin Odegaard. And then the front three kind of like half of it chooses itself in terms of Noni Madueke, Victor Gyökeres, and personally, I would be starting Leandro Trossard for this game. I wouldn't be starting Martinelli. I don't think he's flowing in confidence at the moment. He came on for about 10-15 minutes on the weekend against Nottingham Forest, and I'm not going to lie to you, there was moments in that game and I was like, is he actually on the pitch? Am I the only one that recognized that, or that noticed that there was times when he didn't even appear to be like he was on the pitch? I know we were about 2-0 up already, and then obviously we got the third goal. But there was even a moment, I think, they put him through on goal. He was running through, and then he slowed the play down and was looking for support. And this is what I'm saying in comparison on that right-hand side. If that was Noni Madueke, for example, bearing in mind, considering the kind of goal that he scored for England as well during the international break, he would have ran towards the goal and tried to score, especially considering that he hasn't scored yet for Arsenal. So I reckon that he would have definitely went through on goal. So yeah, that would be my predicted starting lineup. Let me know if you agree with me in the comments as per usual. If you don't, who would you be going with? Who would you replace for my predicted starting lineup? And in regards to my predicted score, like I said, Arsenal are favourites to win this game. And I'm going to be going for a comfortable 2-3-0 away win to the Arsenal, considering that Atletico Madrid, they're not looking kind of strong. I know they've won 3 out of their 4 games in their league, but let's be honest about it. Arsenal are a different cat of fish when it comes to the Champions League. Like I said, Atletico Bilbao has not played in the Champions League, and I know the atmosphere is going to be immense. It's going to be their first home game in the Champions League for almost 10 years. But ultimately, I know that Arsenal would not play to the occasion, and I'm hoping that they don't. and we can go there and come back with an away win. It's going to be very vital and important in trying to get that top 8 spot. Remember, the first 8 teams to finish in that between 1st and 8th qualifies automatically into the last 16. Anything after that, you are going into a playoff, and we can't. I don't want us going into a 2-legged playoff come the end of January. So we need to go away. We need to try and win all these away games, just like we did last season. The only game that we lost during the group stages last season was against Inter Milan, and they were quite good in terms of their defense. But let's see how this one goes. Gooners, as per usual, you know what to do. Make sure you hit that like, make sure you share, and most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It goes a long way in helping me out grow this platform. And as per usual, listen, like I said, the kickoff Tuesday night, 5:45 p.m. kickoff, not 7:45, not 8 o'clock, 5:45. We kick off the Champions League at Atletico Bilbao. I'll be there. My live watch along will also be here, so make sure you tune in for that. Turn on your notification bell if you haven't already done so, and I will see you on Tuesday, 5:45 p.m. kickoff UK time. I'll see you guys there.